You're listening to Short History Shorts audio, where history speaks louder than images. In the sun-drenched region of Laconia in southern Greece, nestled between the rugged Taygetus and Parnon mountain ranges, arose one of the most fearsome and enigmatic societies of the ancient world, Sparta. While most Greek city-states cultivated art, philosophy, and commerce, Sparta carved a unique identity out of discipline, austerity, and relentless military excellence. This was not merely a polis, it was a total way of life. The Spartans called their home Lake Demon, and its citizens were trained from birth to serve the collective through martial prowess and obedience. This is the story of how Sparta emerged from a loose federation of Dorian villages into one of the most powerful and feared military states in history, a society where freedom meant submission to the state, and individuality was sacrificed on the altar of unity and war. The origins of Sparta trace back to the Dorian migrations of the 11th century BC, when Greek-speaking tribes moved south and settled in the Peloponnese. Unlike the Ionians of Athens or the Aeolians of Boeotia, the Dorians brought with them a harder, more austere culture, one that prioritized strength, conquest, and kinship. 4 villages, Pitane, Massoa, Limnae, and Cynosura, eventually coalesced into a single political entity along the Eurotas River valley. Later, a 5th village, Amyclae, was annexed, and together they formed what became the Spartan polis. But Sparta's path diverged sharply from other Greek cities. It wasn't bustling with markets or playwrights, it was built around one purpose: war. Every institution, every law, every cultural norm existed to serve this end. The foundations of this unique warrior society were laid through conquest. In the 8th century BC, Sparta launched a brutal series of campaigns to dominate its neighbors in Laconia and Messenia. The First Messenian War ended in the enslavement of the native Messenians, who became helots, state-owned serfs forced to work Spartan land so their masters could focus exclusively on military training. But the helots were not passive. After decades of oppression, they revolted during the Second Messenian War, a protracted and bloody struggle that shook Spartan society to its core. Victory was eventually secured, but the experience left a permanent mark on the Spartan psyche. The fear of another uprising would dictate the severe social and political systems they developed, a regime of total control where internal threats were treated as seriously as external ones. This fear and the desire to prevent internal division gave rise to Sparta's defining institution, the agoge. Every male Spartan child born to a citizen family was subject to state inspection. If judged weak or deformed, he was abandoned in the wilderness. If deemed fit, he was taken from his family at age 7 and entered a rigorous state-run military education system that would last until adulthood. The agoge was not merely a training camp, it was an indoctrination into the Spartan ethos: obedience, endurance, loyalty, and cruelty. Boys were taught to steal, lie, and survive with minimal resources, not to indulge personal ambition or intellectual curiosity. They were forged into hoplites, heavy infantrymen trained to fight shoulder to shoulder in the phalanx, the most fearsome battlefield formation of the time. This relentless conditioning produced warriors of legendary discipline and strength, feared across the Greek world. But Spartan society was more than just its soldiers. It was a complex and carefully balanced oligarchy. 2 kings ruled simultaneously, one from the Aegeid and one from the Eurypontid dynasty. These dual monarchs commanded the army in war but shared power with a Gerousia, a council of elders including the kings themselves and 5 annually elected ephors, magistrates who could check the authority of the kings. This political system, shaped by the reforms attributed to the semi-mythical lawgiver Lycurgus, was designed to preserve stability, prevent tyranny, and maintain the social order. All male citizens over the age of 30 participated in the Apella, or popular assembly, but real power was concentrated in the Gerousia and Ephyret. The result was an unusually conservative regime that resisted change and prized harmony above all else. This harmony was enforced with brutal discipline. Spartans were expected to conform absolutely to their roles in society. Men were warriors, women were mothers of warriors. Women, unusually for the Greek world, had considerable freedom and physical training, since healthy mothers produced strong sons. They could own property and manage estates in their husband's absence. But even this empowerment was in service to the Spartan state. Personal ambition, luxury, and wealth were discouraged. Iron bars served as currency to prevent greed. Foreign travel was banned. Art, literature, and philosophy, unless they reinforced martial values, were suppressed. Sparta built walls not around its city but around its culture, and within those invisible walls, it trained an elite caste of citizen soldiers unlike any other. Yet this rigid structure came at a cost. Sparta's greatness was built on the backs of its helots, who outnumbered the citizens by as much as 10-1. Constant fear of rebellion forced the Spartans to adopt draconian measures, including secret police units known as the Crypteia, who were tasked with terrorizing the helot population through nighttime assassinations and surveillance. Spartans could not afford to innovate or diversify their economy. Agriculture was helot-driven and trade was negligible. The population of full Spartan citizens, known as the Spartiates, dwindled over time due to the high cost of maintaining their military lifestyle and the exclusivity of citizenship. This decline would become a serious weakness in later centuries. Nonetheless, for much of the archaic and classical periods, Sparta was a superpower. It led the Peloponnesian League, a military alliance of southern Greek states, and held enormous influence in the affairs of the Greek world. Its most famous moment came in 480 BC, during the Persian Wars, when King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans held the pass at Thermopylae against the vast army of Xerxes. Though they died, their sacrifice became a symbol of courage and selflessness. In the decades that followed, Sparta's rivalry with Athens escalated into the devastating Peloponnesian War, which Sparta ultimately won. For a brief time it stood atop the Greek world, but this supremacy was fleeting. Sparta's inflexibility, its refusal to adapt, its narrow citizen base, its hostility to outside influence, became liabilities in a changing world. It suffered a crushing defeat at the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BC to the Thebans under Epaminondas, who shattered the myth of Spartan invincibility and liberated Messenia. The helot economy collapsed. Sparta never truly recovered. In the Hellenistic and Roman periods, it became a curiosity, respected for its legacy, but politically and militarily irrelevant. And yet, the legend of Sparta endures. Its legacy is paradoxical, a society that achieved greatness through collective sacrifice, but at the cost of creativity and freedom, a culture that empowered women but enslaved its neighbors, a city that inspired awe but also dread. Today, Sparta stands as a reminder of how far a society can go when it dedicates itself wholly to a single purpose, and the price it pays for doing so. The Spartan experiment remains one of the most extreme in the annals of history, and its story is far from a simple tale of heroism. It is a warning, a marvel, and an enduring myth of the warrior state of Laconia.